Hi, welcome to this scope chat with Jeremy Monteiro and Eugene Pao. We've got about 15 minutes, and so I'm not sure I can take many questions, but we'll try. I've got some of my own questions actually, and let's just get on with it, okay? So, gotta get lunch. So here we are. We have Jeremy on the left, and we have Eugene on the right. For those that don't know, could you explain a little bit about yourselves, what instrument you play, and where you're from, please, Eugene, and then Jeremy, and then same again for Eugene, please.
Well, I play the full sometimes, but the piano more often than not. And I'm from Singapore.
I live here. I'm from here in Hong Kong, and I play the guitar.
Okay. Now, for those that don't know, Eugene was one of the first Hong Kong guitarists to be signed internationally to a label. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of significance was it for you, and if anything at all, anything for Hong Kong?
Well, nowadays it doesn't mean that much to sign to a label because anybody can put out a record and they have their own label and they have their home recording studio and everything. But back in the day, it was like kind of like a big deal to have a major label interested in signing and doing a record, jazz, a jazz record. That was kind of like a...
Okay, how long ago was it that you were signed?
This was probably 1990.
Okay, so 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, big deal, big difference. How has the music scene changed? And this can be for both of you. Guys in the chat, we're going to alternate questions between Jeremy and Eugene. So how has the music scene changed since the 90s to now, and what is it like here?
Well, in the old days, people, only got their music from either listening to the radio or from, from buying records or that kind of thing. Nowadays, music's so democratized, right? And there's a double-edged sword in that everyone can have access to content and music, but it's also a bit more difficult to control how the artist can make a living, can earn from such things. So, I guess we'll have to find a way to monetize it so that at least musicians can make some money from. But it has also created a lot of interest in many different acts and new acts, and people who are not well known can suddenly become YouTube sensations or whatever. So it's good and bad.
Do you keep tabs on what's upcoming with regards to all these different ways? I mean, you've got Facebook Live here, and I'm periscoping. But do you find that do you take time to look at these new avenues?
Well, yeah. I mean, we try and put our music out on iTunes, downloads, as well as Apple Music, as well as Spotify and Rhapsody, and all the channels available to us. And but it's small amounts. It's like little drops of water. But if we work hard at it, I guess eventually we can collect a pail of earnings as time goes on.
But do you try to control at all any of the distribution process or the illegal distribution parts of it?
Well, sometimes records that we do end up on YouTube illegally. Someone thinks that they're doing us a favor, right? They copy the whole record and they put the whole record on YouTube, right? And that they think they're doing us a favor, but they're not, because we're depriving us of actually making money. So if I see someone has done it illegally, I'll actually go to Facebook, or YouTube, and say, take it down. Okay. Yeah.
What about everything that I've recorded? Is that okay?
No, but you have our permission. It's different.
Thank you.
You have our permission.
Okay. Okay. For those that are just joining, we've only got a little bit of time, so it's not my usual sort of 50 minutes. I was just wondering very quickly on your musical influences. Very easy question.
I grew up listening to the Beatles, and then on to like more harder rock, especially like the bands coming from the UK, like Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, The Who, Led Zeppelin, especially Led Zeppelin. And then it wasn't until when I got to college that I starting getting into jazz, but through jazz rock fusion, groups like Return to Forever and Mahavishnu Orchestra and Weather Report. And because that's kind of like a rock influence style jazz. And then when I got into college, I did more research and got into more like the history of jazz and how it evolved, and went back and checked out all the greats, Charlie Parker, Coltrane, Miles, all those music.
What was it about British music that kick-started this?
I don't know. I just like there was in the 70s, in that era, all the great rock music seems to come from these UK bands that I just mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Question for you, Jeremy. What made you come and play in Hong Kong? Because I know that you're a visitor to Hong Kong. What makes you want to return?
I've been coming to play in Hong Kong since the mid 80s. I guess when the old Hong Kong Jazz Club was in existence. And that's when I actually met Eugene.
Yes, that's right.
And then we got to sit in and play, and it's become a beautiful friendship now. We've done so many things together, including an album we just recorded together called To Paris With Love, a musical tribute to the composer from France, Michel Legrand, who's wonderful. And also we started writing tunes together, which is great. I mean, it's I really love what Eugene does. Whenever I send him an idea, then what comes back is always amazing. So I think it's really great that we get a chance. And Hong Kong is a great place to visit. I mean, it's one of my favorite cities in the world, and I just love the buzz and the weather, right? The mild winter or the rather harsh day we're having today by Hong Kong standards. It's quite cold, isn't it?
You're saying Hong Kong is your favorite city. Does everybody in Singapore know this?
No, one of my favorite cities.
okay. What are your favorite? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any favorite anything. I'm a Gemini.
Okay. Fair enough. I thought then you were gonna. But I'm glad you clarified.
Yeah.
I love going to his hometown, Singapore, to play too.
Okay, so it's all relative.
Yeah, and we were just there. By the way, we played at the Singapore Jazz Festival this past weekend, and it was great fun. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't ask you about your influences.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, that's an interesting question actually, because a lot of great piano players who I love listening to, they sort of like a collage of all the great piano players who came before. Like a lot of piano players sound like a collage of Bud Powell and Phineas Newborn and Oscar Peterson and Bill Evans, all kind of, and then a little bit of themselves, and that's their style. So I'm kind of a little bit different. I mean, I love all those pianists I mentioned, but I'm different in that if someone were to ask me what's your style sound like, I would say it sounds like a combination of Ravel, because I love all the impressionistic harmonies that he did, and the blues, and that's really my style.
Okay. Do you
Ravel and the blues.
do you have any younger inspirations as well? I'm just wondering, because a lot of artists will reference obviously the classic artists like Coltrane and Miles Davis.
Yeah.
And actually at the moment a lot of my knowledge of jazz actually exists just between those two artists, and I'm very slow with taking in new music. But yourself, obviously, totally different for you. But will you reference someone who's younger, upcoming, and think,
I mean, okay, someone not so young is Keith Jarrett, my favorite piano player, still all this time. And it's interesting to hear, musicians like Jeffrey Keezer. I love Jeffrey Keezer, one of the first people to really make use of both hands independently. And of course, the person who also took that further is Brad Mehldau. So I love to listen to him as well. I mean, and even the young Joey Alexander is 12 years old, who's just been the youngest Grammy Jazz nominee in history, is someone I listen to because he's got beautiful sensitivity when in his playing, even at a young age. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to jump around. Can we get a time check?
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
5 minutes, 10 minutes.
With regard to the album To Paris With Love, when I was doing my research, I actually thought that the poor chap had died, but he's still actually alive. So when you say it's in dedication to him, why is that?
It's a living tribute.
Tribute to him.
So
Yeah.
basically, we don't just want to tribute to musicians who are no longer with us, but it's a living tribute because he's great actually. And I'm actually in touch a little bit with his son, who's also a performer, a singer. Yeah.
Okay.
We were inspired to do this project because we were out and about in the streets of Paris, and of course the scenery is awesome. You got an Eiffel Tower in the background, and he came up with the idea of, hey, let's do a duo record. And Michel Legrand is such a quintessential French composer, and like all the jazz guys love his composition too, and his composition also became like jazz standards. So it was like a very easy decision to do the tribute to Michel Legrand, and the fact that he's still living is fantastic.
Okay. Going back on the question about what's the music like in Hong Kong. Yesterday I had an opportunity to do the same thing with Nate Wong.
Yes.
And I went to his studio and we had a little get together. And we were talking about the level of the way music is improvised in Hong Kong is very different to New York. And I'm just wondering if you want to like add a little bit to what he said, because he said you could be far less improvisational here. And so do you find that yourself? Because I do know that you're famous for being very improvisational yourself.
I don't see what's the difference between. I don't get it, because if you're a great player, if you're a great jazz player, you're a great improviser, then it doesn't matter if you're in Hong Kong or anywhere else.
I think the topic was more like about the audience's expectations more than anything, and they sort of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have been clear.
Well, I would suppose like an audience from New York, they would be more knowledgeable and they already have more exposed to a lot of great high level of musicianship.
Live all the time, yeah.
And being able to any one given night they can go out to Village Vanguard or the Blue Note and hear like world class players playing like in sport clubs, whereas in Hong Kong that isn't too much the case.
Okay, and the jazz scene itself, where do you find it? Because for me, again, treat me as somebody who's going to introduce other people to Hong Kong. Where would they find most of the best jazz bars in Hong Kong?
Well, they can come here.
Of course,
right now.
Orange Peel.
Orange Peel, and there's Peel Fresco, really small place, but I always like the vibe there. And there's the Fringe Club. They can go to the Fringe Club.
Okay.
And there are a few new places that I've been hearing about, but I haven't been to. So I'm not sure about. So I don't want to give out the name and make a mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems like I've been hearing about some new places coming up.
And same question, as especially somebody who's from Singapore, you come in here to visit, you have a different take, a different answer.
Yeah, well, I mean, I played at Grappers before in Central, and I think that they have some music, there quite often. And I think they're gonna, John Robertson, the guy that runs the marketing entertainment, is gonna be restarting his, stuff that he does over there. And
they don't have music every night though. They only do shows, special events like once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe once or twice a month.
So I mean, I come here like every few years, so 2 years maybe, and things always change. But there's always something going on. There's always music playing. I think the Gecko is reopened again.
Yes, that's right. See, that's the.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I'm just going to speak to the viewers, just to let them know. I'm just going to do a quick recap. Hello to those in the chat. I am with Jeremy Monteiro on the left, who's a famous pianist, and we've got Eugene Pao on the right, who's plays guitar. And so we're just going to have a quick chat and get to know one another. So if you've missed the beginning, go back and there's more of an introduction, and we talk a little bit about what the music scene is like in Hong Kong and certain inspirations that both gentlemen have talked about with regards to their music. Something, I read an article from, I think it was CNN. You were interviewed, and this is going back a bit, so I don't blame you if you don't remember the details, from Carissa Muse.
Yes.
Okay, and she was asking if somebody isn't into jazz, what would you tell them to listen to? And you said It Kind of Blue.
Okay.
Yeah?
I stick by that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I'm not trying to catch you out. I just want to expand on that discussion. For yourself, before we come, what would you say to somebody?
Well, of course, Kind of Blue is a great example.
Right.
It's the highest-selling straight-ahead jazz record of all time until today, right?
Okay.
So it's a great doorway into the music. But having said that, a lot of people criticize people like Kenny G, right? Who isn't jazz by any stretch of the imagination. But I know people who started listening to Kenny G 15 years ago, and today they're listening to Ben Webster, Dexter Gordon. They don't listen to Kenny G anymore, but I think they kind of came in. Some people need to come in, on a sort of a more easy way of getting into the music. I always liken jazz to cheese. On the one hand, you have the cheddar cheese that everyone buys, right?
Right.
And then on the other and you have your blue cheese and Roquefort cheese with worms and stuff like that. So, and then all points in between, right? So because
you like cheddar cheese first, and then you
get
into all the
yes.
and then you kind of get deeper and deeper into all that stuff, camembert, and like that. So that's jazz.
I'm still on the cheddar.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still on the cheddar. So you said Kind of Blue, and I was wondering why. She didn't follow up with why, and it's
just I don't know. There's a feeling from the music that was made on that 2 days of. It's so amazing to me that probably to those guys it was just a regular recording date, right?
Yeah.
They go in there and do the 2 days, and then I don't think they even knew. Miles didn't even knew that it's going to be like the gigantic thing that it is, like through history of music. I just that the vibe that you can describe when you listen to that record, the sound, the recording, sound of the recording, and the playing on it, the space, and
And then Jimmy Cobb ride cymbal.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, for me, it's. I mean, I only had to listen to it again today because I haven't listened to it for a while.
Yeah.
But it did make a note of like each track is very different, and so you are getting a little taste of those different types of cheese because the emotions in each track.
Yeah.
So then I thought if I ask you this, and then also thinking, hang on, I actually answered it. I'm answering the question myself.
Yeah.
But I still wanted your opinion on it. So for me, the songs are long, so I was like, oh, hang on. But then each one is a very different vibe.
Yeah.
And it's better than a Miles Davis collection. So I'm agreeing with you, but again, I just wanted more of a.
And it was groundbreaking at the time because it was the one record that kind of defined the sort of modal jazz playing. Because what came before that was like from the bebop era where there was a lot of changes, a lot of complex changes happening in the music. And so for this record, Miles wanted to just like have very little chord changes, which would let the players free to improvise, and it's just that
Modal sort of way, yeah.
That space
Yeah.
is what makes it so special.
Okay. The other, I've got some more nitpicks with the article. You talked about how European and Japanese are more knowledgeable with regards to exploring jazz.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to Tokyo, I go crazy in the record store. So many record stores and so many like this they still into vinyl. The vinyl is everywhere, and they're very knowledgeable. They're really into jazz. Yeah, and Europe also, but Europe is a different sensibility. It's like more of the European classical music influence also. With the ECM sound and all that sort of thing. So, but Japan, like people love the jazz in Japan.
I went to Japan in 2004 and 2007, and I was blown away by walking into, and it's a small detail, but walking into a HMV store, and when I got into the jazz section, all the staff were in suits.
Yeah.
I was thinking, wow, just that vibe, the effort, and the presentation with that music.
Yeah.
You don't get that. You don't even get that in the UK. You get HMV, but not the guys in the suit, the black suits.
Yeah.
And then I bought one of my first jazz albums actually, based off a recommendation from a Japanese guy there.
And the Hong Kong HMV, they don't really keep back stock that much anymore.
Right.
Like if you look for certain artists, they keep their recent record. If you want to look back to his catalog to find an older record, it's usually not in stock.
And why is
You
that?
have to order, I don't know, because
Well, that's because of the pop thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the pop thing is always, a very slow shelf life, right? I mean, a very short shelf life. They put a record out and then okay, it's done now, and then the next thing, what's the latest? What's the latest is the big thing in pop. But in jazz, we're not just interested in what's the latest. We're really interested in what came before, like what are the albums that this person did before, and the classic albums. So the jazz records have a longer shelf life. So my records from 20 years ago are still trickling along and selling, and I think that's very important.
Okay, so it's not actually affecting you negatively.
What?
In the sense your back catalogue.
No.
With you saying
fact,
people want.
you start to have a whole kind of a body of work, and once people like your latest record, they want to go, what was before, and they want to go all the way back, which is not necessarily the same with the newer pop artists. With some of the older pop artists like Crosby, Stills and Nash, you listen to the latest one, you go, hey, what did they do before? They have a longevity. It's not like what is the flavor of the month.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to be very brief. I've got one more question, and the other one would have, for yourself, Eugene, is again the CNN article. It was asked about Hong Kong. Sorry. We wanted more Hong Kong people to get into musicianship.
musicianship.
Yes, musicianship. Sorry. And I wanted to know what exactly did you mean by that when you said musicianship?
I don't know.
Because she asked, I can't remember the article, but she was asking what could Hong Kong do more, I think, and you said you wanted to get more people into actual musicianship, and I was wondering, because there's like almost a cultural joke that everyone studies piano anyway, on a scale in Hong Kong that is not matched, and even just in the UK, children do not take up piano to such an intensive degree. So I'm wondering what you meant by.
I guess what I meant was it would be nice to see more audience members know a little bit, go find out a little bit more about musicianship and what the musicians are playing on stage. Like especially if some guy is soloing, you know that he's doing a solo. He's like have fun doing a solo, and then get into hearing what the other band members are doing. Like you home into like what the piano is, how he's comping and supporting the soloist, and you listen to the rhythm section, what's the bass is doing and the drummer is doing. Like it would be nice to have an audience that have these honing ears to notice that all kinds of things that's happening, because jazz so great about jazz is watching the chemistry between the different players on stage.
Okay,
so it's nice to notice those kind of things.
So it wasn't actually about the uptake of music, it's about knowing how they all work together.
Yeah,
and
I guess so.
Integrating with each other.
Yeah.
Okay, do you find that's actually happening?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. I just wanted to ask Jeremy, let's have a look. With regards to social media, you knew straight away, oh, that's Periscope.
Yeah.
When I name dropped, most people like, what's Periscope?
Yeah.
How do you keep abreast of these things?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a geek anyway. It comes to IT, and I love to keep up with the latest equipment and software and apps, and I've been like that for a very long time. So, but sometimes you tend to lose touch. But Periscope is something I heard about, and I was lucky that because they're taking their time to roll out. Facebook Live is taking their time to roll out. So, I was lucky that they rolled us out just recently last week. So, it's great. I think a lot of musicians will benefit from this. I mean, like now hearing about this gig at Orange Peel tonight, and the next 2 nights, and get a chance to know what's going on. Technology is wonderful.
So are you going to live stream your gig?
No, because we want people to come and have a drink and hang out with us. But we live stream the rehearsals, and sometimes we'll live stream a tune or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take 3 questions from my chat, if anybody has any, and then
sure.
Okay. So people, if you'd like to ask some questions, I'm going to try and remember the first 3, and then we're going to have to call it a quits. So anybody, have any of them worked with Joey Alexander or seen him perform live?
Well, I first heard of Joey Alexander 4 years ago, when he was 8 years old, and at that time I went, oh, this guy's going to be great. But just in a few short years, like he was 11 years old, he's already playing amazing, and then to actually have a Grammy nomination, but not so much the Grammy nomination. This guy's a very old soul. He's a very special, and I do with prodigies. I always do a test. I close my eyes and listen without looking at the prodigy, and if I hear what I hear, I like what I hear, then I know this person is a great musician, irregardless of their age, and Joey Alexander is certainly that.
Okay, my second question. Sorry, I didn't catch your name, but I got your question. So just say, hey, it was me. When doing shows, how do you determine a playlist?
We think about the different tempos, different keys, and
Styles, I guess.
different styles. You don't want to do 2 of the similar type of groove or feel at the same time. You want to,
Yeah, we're taking people on a musical roller coaster ride, or a ride anyway. Like tonight, our material is a little more subdued but it's still very rich and dynamic. And so we try not to do the same keys. For example, 2 songs in the same key, you can get a bit of tonal fatigue as a listener. So we are mindful of that.
Okay. No one else has any other questions, so I'm going to end it there. So I know you have Twitter.
Yeah.
What is your Twitter handle?
Jeremy Monteiro.
All one word.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I'm just on Facebook.
you're just on Facebook. Okay. Do you want to promote anything else?
No, well, please come to Orange Peel tonight. Eugene and I are doing our dual tribute to the music of Michel Legrand, and then tomorrow with LMA Fernandez, and tomorrow we're doing with Hong on the drums, Eugene and I. Hong's over there, and our
We've got a guy
cameraman
off
today.
camera. Yeah, we've got a guy off camera here.
Yeah, and also and he'll be playing with us in the organ trio format. And LMA singing, and it's going to be bluesy and swinging. So we hope to see you here. Thanks so much for listening in.
Okay, sorry,
Thank you.
sorry, KV. They've got to have their lunch, have their late dinner. Sorry, so I've got to end it. Okay, so I'll see you all again. Thank you very much. Ask Jeremy on Twitter. Okay, take
All
care,
right.
bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.